The president of Korea announces the end of the world after a zombie-inducing asteroid strikes Japan, turning people into bloodthirsty flesh-eaters. The apocalypse begins, and panic erupts everywhere. No one knows what to do or where to run. But there's one guy who's more than ready. He's got his own safe shelter in another world, and he's been waiting a long time to crush some zombie asses. That guy is our MC, Seongho. Months ago, Seongho and his friends played Asura, the most difficult virtual survival game ever made. The game was sweaty and difficult to the point most players stopped playing it completely. Seongho's party ditched him with the ultimate betrayal of never logging back in again. He was left alone playing and streaming the game, facing all kinds of monsters, and becoming the best. Sick of his life one day, our boy took off his headgear and deleted all of his public streams. Seongho focused on his life as a chef, and found a cute girl as his favorite customer. He jokingly decides to chant status window in real life, and stuns himself when he actually sees a real blue screen hovering before his eyes. The screen outlines his stats. They're the same from the game he played with one difference. He has a new ability called Private Portal. Testing this ability, Seongho materializes a human-sized warp gate. His mind struggles to comprehend the dangers of this new discovery, because if the game is real, then the meteor that started the apocalypse was also coming. On the web, Seongho frantically stumbles across one such article about the asteroid's incoming fall. He refuses to accept that the events of the game are occurring in real life. Our boy stares at the portal before his eyes. First, he received confirmation of the asteroid, and now this portal gate, confirming that something is wrong. Hesitating, he wonders if he should really enter this thing at all. With no powers, no bitches, no plans and money, he contemplates stepping foot inside. In the end, Bro reflects on a few things and grabs the nearest ladle he could find. There, he sticks the ladle inside the portal to get a good feel of what was at the bottom of the other side. After scooping some dirt, he realizes that the other side isn't taking place inside a labyrinth stage of the game. That's a good thing, but he's also starting to wonder if this portal will teleport him to a different location on Earth. Having packed his bags to prepare for the trip, he encourages himself to finally go inside. In the next scene, Bro's past the portal and discovers the beauty of the other side. It's a scenery without anything urban in sight. The first thing this guy notices is just how cold the weather is compared to the usual. With no signal on his phone, this dude analyzes that he's stuck in some kind of remote area that won't be reached by anyone easily. Long story short, Bro's fucked if he's stuck here. Taking out a Sharpie, he marks one of the trees with a number 0. This is actually a smart move on his part, to make sure that he doesn't get too lost in his exploration process. He starts walking and walking, but the walk takes a toll on him. The forest appears endless with nothing in sight. Right when this guy was begging for things to get interesting, a creature glared at him nearby. Instantly, this thing pounced like a predator and scared the crap out of our boy. Luckily, it's just a gorgeous valley deer and not some kind of flesh-eating monster. An interesting detail is that the system automatically identified this unique creature for him, confirming that this place is in fact separate from the realm of Earth. The creature stares at him before dashing away without a word. Not that I expected this thing to start talking or anything, but you get what I mean. Even our protagonist thinks that it's weird for this thing to just peace out like that. The good thing is that the deer wasn't aggressive. However, things are going to get really fudging ugly for him if he runs into bloodthirsty monkeys or boars. One more interesting detail is that the valley deer never even existed in the Asura game. Right after arriving here, he had a striking hunch that this realm is related to survival life and its concepts. Taking out a blade, he walks forward, preparing himself for anything that will come out and startle him. So far, he's denied the reality of a disaster heading to end humanity, but right when he was about to give up, he found it. His eyes glanced at the shining sun apple, a mystical fruit that he plucked from the tree. First, he wonders if biting it is okay, then he takes an actual bite and experiences immediate change. The system informs him of his stamina restoration, and his body shimmers with a yellow glow. Its effects are actually the same as the sun apple juice they used to drink in the game. With one more thing serving as pure confirmation, our boy is now convinced that something terrible is soon about to happen. Bro was also shitting next to goblin poop, which means he has to be careful. Seongho takes a worrisome sigh, trying to strengthen his morale. But despite his beliefs, he now knows that the end of the world is soon to come. After experiencing the portal gate's effects, he exited it and went back to his original world. Here, Seongho began brainstorming solutions. He wanted to be ready for the apocalypse to come. So the first thing he did was review all of the footage of the game and stored it in a personal hard drive. Conveniently, he actually streamed the game every time he played it, so he could easily save that data, though he never even expected to use it like this one day. News of the asteroid's fall reached him. The Japanese destruction would begin in 32 days alongside the start of the apocalypse. Until then, he decided to prepare because the game was unfortunately full of the worst mechanics ever. The craziest and problematic of them all was something called Iron Death Disease. This little phenomenon resulted in the corrosion and destruction of every piece of metal on Earth. Buildings ravaged to dust, and it aided the zombie swarm hours after it happened. With the obliteration of metal in modern-day society, humanity returned to the Stone Age. The Iron Death Disease eventually subsided in the game, but the main problem was the fact that it literally lasts for an entire year. Even then, the incoming Iron Death Disease didn't mean much to our boy, who had a safe solution to access his private portal thanks to his newly acquired trait. Of course, Seong-ho has a very strong assumption that the disease will be incapable of passing through the portal. Wrapping up his analysis, he chalked up all of the money he saved to buy premium tier equipment. Bro was about to enter a Call of Duty zombie apocalypse lobby in real time, so he got all the gear and supplies for survival. Checking the forums at night, Seong-ho found himself disappointed by the few people who abused their awakened abilities for a life of crime and enjoyment. Morning came around. He bought more supplies to aid his eventual mission. On the way back, Bro even bought a hunting bow for surety. While doing all of this, he faced a realization. Seong-ho thought that maybe he was overthinking all of this. Maybe he was getting ahead of himself and acting hastily. Still, he thought he could earn all his savings back eventually, even if he was wrong. With his morning errands completed, he returned home and put up a closing sign on his shop. Seong-ho was in the middle of his thoughts when he suddenly heard someone's voice. Temu Cha-hein from Solo Leveling worriedly asks about the closed shop. He tells her that it's just for some remodeling work, which makes her wonder if he scored it big time and earned a lot of money. Seong-ho quickly exits the conversation by stating that he's got some work to do, but suddenly she stops him and tries to ask a question. The girl ends up flustered and doesn't actually state her request, turning back to leave. Seong-ho is curious about her question, and though he could have easily pushed her for an answer, he went back to his business. Inside, he vowed to take things seriously and work on stuff that actually mattered. Bro really said, "I'm gonna ignore baddies and lock in for real." He commands open the portal, reflecting on his actual game style. One could call him a playmaker or a planner, a guy who loves using strategies to overcome each stage. He wasn't exactly a powerful combatant and mostly relied on his brains. The reason is actually simple. In Sura, there's a complicated way of earning stats. You don't just acquire them after level ups. You only acquire them after hunting and exploring. Right now, our boy is in the other realm trying to hone his skills with the bow. Clearly with no practice and teaching before, Bro uses YouTube tutorials to teach himself. Seong-ho postures himself correctly and takes aim to shoot. A side of him from the game is reflected in his experience until he eventually lets go of the shot. The arrow flings its way to the board, hitting the target. Bro is actually stunned by his talent to the point he thinks he's the chosen one. However, with how sore his hand is, Seong-ho realizes that his real drawback is his strength. That's why he wants to focus on working out and boosting his physical endurance. With basic preparations wrapped up, he would now move to the next step. Immediately, he needed to take care of two things. The first was to outline a way to hunt down monsters properly. The second was to build a home base where he could store supplies without worry. However, at the moment, he had no weapons and absolutely no supplies because they were in the process of delivery. Until then, he hunted golden apples and went crazy with his luck running into them. Having marked a few spots, he taught himself to prepare for the apocalypse to come. His early preparation is the same reason he survived in Sura for as long as he did. Looking around, Seong-ho runs into Goblin Waste. He'd been meaning to find it, merely for a simple goal. The thing about goblins is that they love acting in groups. The fact that only one piece of shit was on the ground, and I mean that literally, tells him that there's one around here. Poop Inspector Pro Max interacts with the waste and judges that the goblin must be an outcast. Seong-ho knows this guy will be his golden ticket. He's got to hunt him down as best he can. By night, his search for the lone goblin continued. He heard wolves nearby, which signifies that he's closer to the valley, and then he spots the same goblin he was looking for. Seong-ho hid behind a tree, but he could see that this thing looks identical to the creatures of the game. Now, goblins are supposed to be the lowest grade of monsters. Their only weapons are spears and poisonous darts. They're best known for mutilating their opponents and torturing them. It's actually the very reason our boy chose a long-ranged weapon, a bow, for his first choice. From the looks of things, the goblin is old and in shit condition. It doesn't have any weapons, so Seong-ho instantly whips his bow. He knows that if he can maintain his calm, he'll kill this thing. Upon the release of the bow, the arrow shoots right through the goblin's arm, piercing its arm. Seong-ho aimed for its head, but he's happy with the result. Utilizing this advantage, he tries to take his second shot, but the goblin throws a stone so hard that his weapon is launched out of his hands. Seong-ho realizes that he's dealing with a mature and experienced goblin. Both of them prepare their blades for close quarters combat. The ultimate showdown between Sung Jin-woo and Beru begins. Shit, wait, wrong story. Seong-ho loads his knife and tries to slash the goblin's side. The experienced goblin dodges and smacks our boy's kneecap pretty damn hard. Taking things to the ground, Seongho tackles the goblin, forcing it on its back. Here he has the clear advantage. Seongho takes the blade and plunges it deep inside the creature's chest, causing it to scream in pain. Eventually, the light from its eyes fades. The first kill has been successful, and Seongho acquires 2 points because of it. He can't even believe that he managed to do what he did. Scanning his environment, he finds guaca powder and vegetable oil nearby. In the game, combining these results in an ointment. But first, he needed to dig up fast. It's far too dangerous to let this goblin rot outside, because the group could find it and hunt Seongho because of it. Leaving it to rot isn't a good idea either, because it will turn into something called a bone creeper. Seongho finds a pair of red trouts nearby. Seongho's heart trembles as he realizes he's fucked. The moment he averts his gaze, Bro discovers the creepiest owl monster staring down at him. Before this segment, we go back to Seongho's runs in the game when he was a player. During his streams, he compiled a bunch of material insight for the game. Some of his chat members donated money just for him to dive right into the goods. Seongho got into the bottom of it and described his experience with goblins and kobolds last time. Avoiding Bone Creeper is essential as well, but the forest houses 2 of the most dangerous creatures in the game. These are werewolves and owlbears. Owlbears are territorial creatures, which means their existence creates harmony in the monster ecosystem. Remembering the era of streaming, Seongho found warmth in his heart. There was this one guy, Bullsungman, who was always happy for him. The others were chill and a bit weird, like Barking Dog Dude who just couldn't stop typing woof in chat for some reason. Strangely enough, Seongho wonders why he's facing such happy memories. Is it because he's staring down the incarnation of literal horror before him? A creature that was going to end his life. Seongho refuses to accept reality. It's as if those memories are telling him to concentrate. He uses every moment at his disposal to think of a plan. He already knows that the owlbears are damn near vicious and tear apart anything in front of them. The fact that the creature is standing still without doing anything implies that it isn't as hungry. But the more important thing getting on his nerves right now is that they've invaded the territory of the red trout. With all of these important factors considered, Seongho realizes that there's possibly only one way for him to escape this nightmarish situation. Turning his feet, he reminds himself that he's still the Kimbap Joa in his head, even if his body is the lowly physique of Kang Seongho. Gritting his teeth, he challenges the monster to face him, a final declaration of his will to survive. The creature eyes him down, initiating its terrorizing first attack. The owlbear is especially great at hunting at night, but its main weakness is direct sunlight. Having memorized its patterns in the game, Seongho knows that he only has to execute to save his life. Matching the timing of the beast's attack, Seongho excellently evades the slash, and at the same time thinks of a way to create some kind of light effect to terrify the monster. Bursting with speed, he runs up the creature's huge arm, before finally whipping out a flashlight and blinding its eyes point blank. This effect is so traumatizing for even a predator like the owlbear that it is completely blinded. The next scene cuts to our boy rotting in his bed as his alarm rings. He knows he has to get back up, even after his body is sore as shit after last night. Seongho passed out right after returning home. His last memory is him running for his life after blinding the monster. As luck would have it, he ran it into an owlbear right after facing a goblin. Bro doesn't want to deal with that shit again and tries to get up to eat something. He kisses the floor with a thud, realizing that his legs are annihilated after that cardio. Luckily, he's still got those golden apples from the other realm. Seongho grabs one and takes a bite, instantly rejuvenating his stamina with its effects. Finally, he feels more alive than ever before, wondering if he should now properly satiate his stomach. But after tidying himself up, Bro ends up running into Temu Cha Hein again. She's come here to eat in a different restaurant and coincidentally ran into him. Seongho wasn't looking for company, but she sat here because she likes having a meal buddy. Mikyung hurriedly asks him if he tried opening the status window. Her enthusiastic attitude makes Seongho realize that this must be the topic she wanted to discuss last time, but stopped herself from. Mikyung shows him the news and assures him that it's real. Some awakened players are actually using their powers to steal money from others. Seongho is a little startled by her confidence to ask something like that directly. He answers her by lying and saying that nothing showed up. The thing is, Seongho feels like he's doing the right favor by keeping others blind about his status. First of all, his trait is strategic and not combat-focused. It's something he can utilize to the best of his advantage, instead of sharing with others. Right now, not even his personal safety is guaranteed. If he ends up revealing his hand to the lady in the red dress, which in this case is her, then things could really end up badly for him. It's a smart play. However, the dude is intrigued how Mikyung is taking so much interest in asking about awakening. Then comes a surprise from her. She hesitates and even admits to stating a lie. Seongho assumes good intentions from her and even assures her that she doesn't have to say anything. He encourages her that there's still time and heads home shortly after their conversation. Finally, his delivery packages arrived. Stuff he ordered came and now he didn't need to worry about supplies. He moved his stuff up to the rooftop and only kept important stuff on the second floor. During his preparation work, he selected a whole bunch of items necessary for today's mission. Stuff like gas masks and suits and other equipment. For his upcoming mission, our boy intends to find a proper location to use as a hideout. It's necessary for him to build a home base, hence the purpose of the axe. Passing through the portal, Seong-ho faces his first lead in finding a hideout. He accidentally discovered a goblin cave while looking for the old goblin. Recalling its location, he travels to that exact same spot and finds it. It's a pretty convenient spot to hide, one that is perfect for his plans. However, first he needed to verify the kind of monsters that lived here. Seong-ho scans the environment and finds tiny footprints of kobolds passing by. This is actually a discovery to celebrate, because these guys aren't any trouble at all. Seong-ho had already come here with a plan against any low-level monsters to begin with, so he had nothing to worry about. The thing about kobolds is that they're nocturnal creatures. They're currently sleeping, so our boy's plan is to suffocate them inside. First, he gathers a bunch of firewood by cutting some branches. Afterwards, he places the collected group at the entrance. The next idea is to spill gasoline all over it. Seong-ho thought he was going to clear this mission with no trouble because all he had to do now was light up a fire. But then he shockingly heard their noise. They came out of their slumber and immediately locked eyes with their next meal. Seong-ho gently greets them, before whipping his axe and lunging forth into action. In a simple swing, he slashes both monsters around their necks, killing them immediately. The reason they went down so easily is because of the drowsiness from earlier. Thanks to these consecutive kills, the system awards him with an increase in level and 4 points. Next, Seong-ho tosses the lighter in the firewood. Shortly after, the fumes start to go inside. In the Asura game, low-level monsters had one glaring weakness. They were vulnerable to new things, and this was one of them. Our boy waited with a gas mask outside. Though he could have tried to burn them directly, this method was even more effective with the cleanup process. The slumbering kobolds frantically woke up and ran outside to save themselves. Seong-ho intentionally chose this strategy to weaken their bodies and create confusion among their escape. The moment they stepped outside, his objective was to take advantage while they were down to kill them at once. Though he expected at least 5 of them to come out, Seong-ho is stunned that only 4 did. This is different from their usual group of 7. Aiming at one of the kobolds, Seong-ho slaughters it dead, declaring that only 3 of them now remain. The remaining 3 ran up to him, doing what little they could do to attack. But our boy was ready with his axe. This man was swinging home runs with the weapon and taking them down. Another kobold tries to attack, but the all-powerful fart spray of death blinds him point blank. Before it could even do anything, Seong-ho helped cut off its head. With just one final one left, our boy stares down at their leader fidgeting in fear. He has become the hunter and declares their end, promising to make good use of their hideout. The bloodbath ends at last, with Seong-ho fatigued on the ground. His lack of stamina is the real drawback right now, even though they were easy to beat. The system stats, interestingly, are no different than from the game. Even the debuff section from the exhaustion state. Status points not increasing after level up is the same too. Still, leveling up will eventually unlock shop items for him, so that's good on its own. Right now, the most convenient thing is that he can use a private space of his own. But as much as our boy wanted to have a clean environment inside, he found himself disappointed with the mess the kobolds made. With a hideout secured, cleaning operations began. This dude had to clear so much of goblin shit that he got tired of it. Cleaning up so much felt like a pain in the ass, especially after having cleared a proper fight. Seong-ho cursed at the shitty creatures for living in garbage. Still, he had nothing to worry about anymore with a new home base. Seong-ho returns to his side of the world every time he needs to take out the trash. That was a benefit, but still it took him so much time to clean up. The one thing that surprises him the most is discovering how easy it is to use items between dimensions. So he used a pipe from one side and activated it on the other, even astonishing himself with how well it works. Hours of effort aside, the place is now glittering with cleanliness. Next, he needs to clear bloodstains and work on pouring concrete, so storing stuff is easier. He thinks about the complications of mortar and using sandwich panels. But the one good thing about this shitty cave is that it is full of luminous and ignition stones. These are newbie stones in the game, but the place is full of them, so that's good. Seong-ho now has a reason to mine this place properly after construction. The following day, Bro is at the edge of his life. He's working so hard every day that his body is aching all over. Checking his arm, he surprises himself with the few cuts he endured. His collected items from the other realm rest on the table side. Seong-ho wonders if he should make an ointment using this as an opportunity. The method's pretty simple. In goes the guaca powder and vegetable with equal ratio, then some stirring, and there we have it. A low-level ointment for basic healing. Thanks to our boy's background in cooking, the chef has an easier time making these. Just applying the ointment on his arm feels like a step in progress. However, Seong-ho is troubled with the realization that he might have to make it again and again. He contemplates the idea of raising his stats by focusing on fundamentals, but then again he's risking his life so much that he could even die before the damn apocalypse arrives. Even though that would be funny as shit, Seong-ho doesn't want to take the risk and thinks of using a more convenient weapon like a gun. Suddenly a thought clicks his head. There is definitely something he could use. Separated from the main storyline of the game, we have its background lore. But the big question is, will that background lore even apply to the incoming apocalypse? Utilizing that information, Seong-ho calls his thoughts, hoping for the backstory events to occur, because they'll benefit him in unimaginable ways. With a new plan created, this guy goes up to the rooftop for the construction materials he ordered. Opening the portal gate, our boy starts tossing these bags to the other side one by one. After that, he went ahead to pick some other items, then went down to the first floor. Here, he was about to move a pile of packages when suddenly that same girl popped up again. Seong-ho is starting to wonder if she's getting too comfortable with him at this point. Bro says it straight to her face, causing her embarrassment. He assures her that he's just busy with remodeling work, and she thinks he's telling the truth. What surprises her is that he hasn't come in for his regular haircut every 3 months. Seong-ho remembers yes, and also understands that a haircut is needed for the incoming exploration. So he drops what he's doing and goes to her shop. Here, Bro is looking like a Korean version of Moist Critical. He orders her to shave it all off, the buzzcut Sigma arc. Surprised, she decides to carry out his request. What intrigues her is how Seong-ho's shoulders have gotten broader. I mean, let's be honest, no girl is ever going to say that for real. He tells her he's been working out, while Mikyung talks about the status window being related to the game's survival life. Awakeners are people who have played the game at least once. All this time, Seong-ho plays dumb and agrees with everything, but he also curiously asks about her source of information. Suddenly, one tatted dude enters the shop, revealing that he's here for the new intel. Hilariously, this guy happens to have fought Seong-ho in the past, but only in a singing competition. Our boy is pissed that this clown happens to be her source of information. The blonde hair tells her that a certain someone deleted the streams and only keeps information for himself. It's an awkward moment because this guy even announces that he's trying to dox the player's real location. Seong-ho is really curious about this mystery person. In-hack name drops Kimbap Joa, which was Seong-ho's username. This complicates things already, because now our boy knows that people are genuinely out there hunting him down. In-han forces the young lady to be bold and to join their team. Seong-ho thinks the whole situation is stupid. The only reason he deleted the video is simply because he was disappointed. He never had any time to think about personal benefits. Anyway, this punk is a know-it-all wannabe who talks big game. He even curses at Seong-ho for ditching everyone without publicly posting information of his streams, not knowing that the very same guy he's currently hunting is sitting in front of him. Seong-ho wonders if the community's reaction is the same as well. This makes him wonder if he should really change course and share information. Bro personally gets up to personally confront In-hak, scolding him for ruining his haircut in the middle of a session. In-hak tries to play Mr. Tough Guy with our boy, but Seong-ho glares at the midget with murderous eyes, ordering him to get lost quickly unless he wants to be humiliated again. Intimidated, the punk exits the shop as the lady bids him farewell. Mikyung feels relieved. Seeing her in distress, our boy asks for her number, only because he thinks this guy is genuinely a clown who could threaten her life. Back at home, our boy is looking like a model with his new look. First, he focused on his username and decided to look up information in the forum. What he found was alarming. The whole forum was flooded with curses and swears directed at him. He was receiving endless hate until he actually ended up finding the username of In-hak. The clown even used a nickname despite having full verification accessible on the website. His entire page was flooded with negative commentary about our boy. A true hater and redditor in spirit, body, and soul. Seong-ho switches off his computer, knowing that it's the only appropriate reaction. He wasn't mentally affected, just disappointed. But then, his brain felt a strange sense of calm as he commanded the portal. He spent the next 2 days refining his hideout, working on mining and construction. The pickaxe helped him, and then he spread the mortar with water, smoothing it evenly each day. With work finished, he comes out waiting for the mortar to dry. During this moment, he stares at the lonely moon. Suddenly, Seong-ho realized that he had to respond to this injustice and level of cruelty. He's not some kind of hero, and he's not looking for a grandiose purpose in life. His ultimate goal is ultimate survival. That's all that matters, as long as he's winning. Making his resolution, he turns around and finds himself frightened. There's a bone creeper clanking up to him. Seong-ho was already pissed off, so he's finally found a target to focus his attention on. A loud explosion follows, engulfing everything in flames. The next time our boy wakes up, he's covered in scratches. He doesn't even know what the hell happened just now. But then he remembered the sight of the bone creeper. The one part boggling his mind is how he was able to survive from a point-blank explosion. But that's got an answer too. Right after he spotted the bone creeper, Seong-ho already knew the fucker was about to explode to bits. So he ran for it, but the detonation still caught up to him, knocking him with enough force to go unconscious and not die. However, that little move back there did cost him too. Seong-ho is full of pricks stabbed on his right side. Mustering what little strength he has, he calls the status window to help. The system stats have taken a decrease because of his current state, but thanks to the creature's destruction, he gets points for its defeat. A ringing headache is starting to take over, burdening Seong-ho's senses. Expending his final ounce of energy, he commands open the portal. In the next scene, the first thing he did was treat his wounds. This involves removing the bone fragments from the creature. Those were painful to remove, and it hurt him like hell removing them. The ointment worked out its wonders, helping him stop the bleeding. Checking his condition after bandaging it further, Seong-ho resultantly ended up unconscious. That was his limit for the day. The following morning, dawn breaks and our boy is back up. He thinks he's at the verge of dying any day now. His immediate worry is to check if his wounds are healed, so he pops open the status window. The system seems to be saying he's fine, so that's good. He gets up and ponders the question of how a damn bonehead even found him in the first place. First of all, the forest is seriously vast, so it's not unlikely for creatures to come out of hiding like that suddenly. This alarms him to focus more on honing his perception stat, which would boost his detection abilities. The only ways to increase such stats in the game is by using stat points, of course. These are acquired via hunting or exploration experience. One other way to boost stats is to use equipment or weapons that boost the user. The only problem? Asura fucking sucks as a game and its difficulty is off the charts. Even to obtain simple stat items, one has to take on dangerous monsters way higher than your own level. This means going up against hellish beasts just for a weapon. After defeating monsters, skills could also be unlocked. High-level monsters especially dropped them based on certain conditions, except not every skill suited every player. So now Seong-ho wonders of a surefire way for him to acquire stat-boosting items. He decides to run the footage back to the background story he visited in the game. Such stories take place before the asteroids fall on Earth. This means that visiting such places could land you special items before the apocalypse even comes around. But that's just a theory, a game theory, get it? Seong-ho knows that he's got to fight stronger monsters too for that matter. He spends the next few hours just reading up on past information, and learns about 3 important locations where the background stories took place. The Russian ship, the hobgoblin, and one other. The Jiri Mountain Orc incident, the fastest of the bunch. According to the footage, the orc was discovered on the 26th, so he's got to depart on the 25th to find it early. With his next mission in sight, our boy grabs his phone and realizes that Mikyung's calling him at a late hour. In the next scene, the two are at a cafe. She asks about his condition, questioning why he chose to wear a long-sleeve shirt in the hot summer. Bro has to hide his wounds and realizes that this woman is much more observant than she seems. She thinks that he's bothered by the incident at the shop, but Seong-ho denies anything like that. She's happy to hear, expressing how scared she felt. Seong-ho reminds her of just last winter where this guy caused trouble by using an illegally modified tow truck. Then he began fighting weak people. Long story short, he's a shitty human. Mikyung is stunned to hear this news, having no intel on this guy previously, but our boy begs her to stay away from him. Seong-ho then directly asks the reason she invited him out. The cute young lady crops up in his ear and reveals that she is actually awakened. Seong-ho has no idea why she even revealed such sensitive information. Playing along naturally, he acts jealous that he didn't get the same luck. She feels bad for lying to him, but he assures her that it's okay. Concluding their meeting, he gets up to leave. Seong-ho is happy to be entrusted with that information, and admits that he feels better because of her words. Before leaving, he leaves a little clue by stating his interest in the survival life game, having full intention of studying the game now. Coming back home, Seong-ho admits that he genuinely feels happy finding people like her with good character. He checks the stores and actually ends up purchasing cool-ass drones and even a rental car for navigation. Then he heads right to his bed to recover for the next day. The next day did come around. The moment dawn broke, he began making materials for hunting the orcs. In his home base, he crushed and refined ignition stones. They had to be handled precisely, otherwise they would flare up with an incorrect hit. Next, he set his sights on the luminous stone. Mining them blinds you with their light, but it's good, so he keeps on doing it. After grinding both, he creates powder from them. This completes his setup for the mission. Next, he pours sugar, gasoline, and organic solvents. The last ingredient is a hardening agent for the ignition stone to solidify. Thanks to his dimensional gate having flexible coordinates, he could easily set up a desk without difficulty. Before leaving, he wraps up all his luggage in his rental car, satisfied with his purchase. With the goods secured, Seong-ho drives his way to Jiri Mountain to kill the orcs. He arrives at the Yungsunri campground parking lot before 12 a.m., spending the remaining time during image training and keeping his equipment safe. When the clock hits 12 a.m., he starts with his full-scale search. 2 hours later, the rain has gotten worse and the mist created by the rain makes it difficult to see ahead. He wonders where the orcs come out from the earth, as he has already taken a look around the campground. He thinks that the precursor phenomenon doesn't occur in real life, but suddenly his thoughts are cut off by a loud roar. Panicking, he looks behind him, where the sound came from. It is a dark, shadowy figure approaching him. Our boy realizes it's an orc, and not an ordinary one. It's a red orc subspecies, which means a skill drop is guaranteed. Kang Seong-ho tries to calm himself down while firing a cracker. If everything goes according to his planning, he can definitely capture it. The method he came up to deal with orcs is simple. The first step is to use the orc's aggression to draw its aggro. When the orc is distracted by the flare of the firecracker and begins to attack it with its axe, that is the moment to seize the opportunity. Aim at the orc and instantly open the portal, and instantly grab and open a flashbang. Due to the intense light, it will take around 20 seconds for the orc to bring back its vision. It creates a race with time. Then, destroy the orc's muscles, which have gotten loose due to the effect of the status, to completely make his movements drop drastically. The orc screams out of rage and uses its axe to attack on our hero to crush him. But swiftly, our guy bends down when the axe is about to hit him, dodging the attack. Then, he takes his knife and stabs the foot of the orc. The moment the orc's foot is stabbed, it yells in pain and drops to its knees. When the eye level of the orc and our protagonist's is the same, he will shove down the already made flame can into its mouth. As soon as the can goes in the mouth of the orc, it explodes. Soon, our boy begins to celebrate his victory. Suddenly, the orc's fist lands a punch on our guy, sending him flying back. He gets up, knowing he shouldn't have let his guard down already. He looks at the orc stepping his way with his upper body lit on fire, but it doesn't look like it would survive. Our boy is sure that he's about to meet his end by getting minced by the orc soon. Right then, his system notifies him that his level has risen to level 3, and he just got 10 more points, getting the skill, Will to Survive. He gets up, saying to himself he's unable to handle this, wondering where the drop item is while some light shines on his wrist. He looks at his wrist, and the drop item he gets is a watch perception. He sighs in relief because it would have been such a hassle to find the drop item in the rain. He steps near the dead orc, his head fuming, wondering what to do with it. He thinks to himself that the Jirison orc incident was under an embargo. He then wonders if it's the right thing to do by realizing the information, because the situation can get bad. Thinking about what Mikyung said to him about the Awakened are the people who have played that game at least once, which just means one thing: there must be several thousand people who have awakened. Even if a small minority of them are guys like O and Hawk, they will cause the collapse of the system and laws for personal gain and cause chaos to erupt. Right now the biggest problem is, he can't leave the dead orc by itself, or else it will become a bone creeper and begin to harm people by tomorrow. Suddenly a thought crosses his mind. Why didn't he think that he could become a zombie? Even if he's awakened, he could still potentially become a zombie if he got infected by the spores. He can't think of the right thing to do, being unable to make a decision. He opens the portal while he thinks about the few people who will have survived. It is certain that the will deserves an orderly end. Our boy begins to dig a hole in the ground so he can bury the orc he just killed. He gets exhausted soon and wonders how he is going to pull the orc inside. His newly found skill, Will to Survive, activates, as it gets triggered by exhaustion into completing the task right away. The hero soon begins to finish his job quickly, having no choice but to work as fast as he possibly could. Then, he throws the orc into its grave while being thankful of the skill. After that, he opens the portal and ends up in a moving car. The after effect takes time for his body to recover before he can go back to his regular activity. The next day, he wakes up wondering if the weather he's seeing is legit. According to the plan, he should have made a defense line already. He looks at his phone, wondering if the remnants of the red orc are all gone. He plans to not start anything today. It's just not the right time for him, and decides to take a look at the items that were sent in the early morning. Inside the box, there's all the weapons he needs, although he can only use it as an Indian war club. Still, a few items from the package are missing. He picks up a note which says that some of the items he ordered are illegal to have, and they couldn't go through customs. As he's busy looking at the weapons he got, he hears another delivery van and loudly tells them to leave the stuff at his front door. The door gets knocked, making our guy wonder why the delivery guy didn't listen to him. He tries to repeat it, and then opens the gate. It wasn't the delivery guy, it was Mikyung. She stands there, explaining that they hadn't met in a long while and she wanted to discuss something with him. She is holding a bag with some food in it, and wonders if he wants to eat some rabaki with her. Now there are just 24 days left until the apocalypse arrives. Our boy is unable to believe that Mikyung has finally visited his house. He's clearly getting nervous and can't stop blushing. After she serves the food, she tells him to eat before the food gets cold, and he listens to her. They are soon done eating, and he asks what she wanted to talk about. She cuts straight to the topic, as he mentioned earlier that he was looking into Asura, so she could discuss some important information over it. Well, that's not what our boy thought that she was coming to discuss. He thought maybe she wanted to date him, but he assures himself that talking about the apocalyptic things with her would be the best option right now, because he needs to have good company around him in a tough time. She quickly begins to take out the trash while our boy prepares for some more things. He got his computer out. He even revealed to her that he has awakened, because finding it out some other way wouldn't be too great. He takes a start with explaining in detail the metal death plague, and roaming around with a group which has more than 6 people makes the group an easy target for the zombies. Catching the perception of it is important for survival, making it the most important skill among the rest of it. The goal of the game is to survive. As he's about to explain further, she stops him. She discusses what Owen Hawk said. Kimbaplover getting a lot of backlash, so why isn't he spilling out information? Our boy doesn't really have an answer to her question, and asks her to take a guess. Her guess is, everyone has a reason and the circumstances justify it. Then, our boy tells her that he rejected his offer to join him, and she wonders why he would do that. He takes his phone out to show her the reason. It is a recording of them talking about kidnapping a girl, considering she is playing hard to get. Hearing all that talk makes him angry. He turns to Mikyung, informing her what's bound to be revealed when the apocalypse arrives, the true color of people. Our hero guides her not to trust anyone, but she startles him by suggesting to him that they should form a party together. Our guy clenches his fist, because he couldn't just blurt out an answer. One of his goals includes reaching level 10 and unlocking the shop before the tutorial, which creates a problem. In Seola, there's a system where the rank of monsters that respawn changes according to the level. If she came along with him, she is bound to die in the worst possible death. He nervously laughs, wondering what she would do if he became a zombie. She assures she will be fine and uses her trait to teleport to his dining table. She flexes about her trait called Blink. She only has to dodge him if he ever bites her. He's surprised by her skill but warns her not to just show anyone, but she says she trusts him. Brightly, she suggests that they will become a great team if they don't become zombies. A while later, he stands near trees while he thinks about how easy it was to make fences. The first step was hammering support posts into the ground to set them up. He then wrapped barbed wire around them and fixed them. After that, he installed infrared in a couple of places and his job's done. He looks at the work he did, praising himself and being sure that he should at least get 1 dexterity point for this. Seong-ho begins to walk back, completing the mortar work and creating a defense wall. He decides to start moving packages. He's done moving the boxes after a while. While he is measuring what to do next, suddenly he feels chilly and sneezes. He realizes that the other world will be cold, and soon he will have to take shelter here, so he needs to think of some countermeasures. Our hero looks at the cave entrance and decides to build a gate there since just a curtain won't suffice. With every step, his list of things to do keeps going longer. He later stops by a woodworking shop for production and buying different things. On his way back, he checked the places he will rob during the 5 hours before the metal death plague spreads. As he's making the list, he gets stopped by Hyung Jun-hyung, who he hasn't met in a long time. He is a gym director and a divorcee, and has a small young daughter. Our boy reads his expressions and they don't look too good. Hyung doesn't care much but starts taking a look at his body, which has been looking like it's getting back in shape. Then, our boy asks him what's up with him, to which he replies how obvious it is. He's upset because the world is going to end. The protagonist is surprised that he knows about it too, and Hyung wonders if our protagonist believes in it. At first, Hyung didn't believe it until his friend began to levitate, using the superpower he was granted. The protagonist lies that he hasn't awakened, and the gym guy sighs sadly that he hasn't awakened too. Now, his friend is going to the broadcasting station to make some money. The gym guy points at our boy to sit beside him, and our guy realizes that soon everyone will find out about the existence of the awakened. Hyung changes the topic to something bizarre that happened, the Uido shootout. Seong-ho couldn't believe what he heard as he didn't watch the news in the morning. He asks him to go watch the news, but the post gets taken down instantly. The media is now being controlled. Hyung explains the follow-up news, how they were trying to cover up the news by saying it was a deserter who did the shooting. Now the shootout area has been closed off for the public. Only the army and the police can visit it. Suddenly our boy gets up, makes an excuse to leave, and begins to run away. Back at home, a shootout took place right after the orc incident. This entire thing makes him think that the government is in on it since their reaction made it obvious. He opens a file on his computer and clicks on a video. Our guy is surprised to see a lot of people knowing the exact time of the precursor phenomenon. He even got rid of the orc, but the shootout occurred at the same time. While overthinking, he wonders if someone leaked the information to the government early on and tries to initiate action starting with the first precursor phenomenon. And maybe they didn't come out at the front because they do not have an offensive trait. He's not sure who it is, but there's definitely someone behind the government. Seong-ho wonders who that person could be. He researched it, and he was left with 3 veteran players. After a lot of thought, he got rid of the creator. Since they are pulling this move of the game in the means of reality, the creators of the game are likely to be villains. If the villains were backed by the government, they would never let him kill the orc. He sketches out 3 faces which are the biggest suspects. He wonders if it is the survivor number 1. And if his theory is legit, he doesn't have to share this information with the government by himself. Our guy stretches back on his chair, wondering if survivor number 1 is the guy he really knew. He misses his veteran friends and decides to trust them for now. Other than that, sharing info would still not stop the catastrophe that is coming ahead, so he will not step in yet. 2 days later, he gets his door made and his pantry is ready. The first shelter is done. He decides to install 2 logistic trays and then drill through the wall, but there is way less space than he imagined. The basement waterproofing has been done, and he has been working on it bit by bit. He walks away thinking that he will figure it out when it's done healing in phase 2. There is an important task that he needs to do, making maps with his drone. As he was doing that, with his VR set on and the drone in the air, he saw the shelter in the midpoint and started exploring around. By the drone, he was able to learn about the snowfields in the northwest and an ocean to the south. The ocean had no monsters and a lot of prey, so he decides to set up some traps to catch fish. He examined the valley to study the ecosystem around the shelter. Suddenly, he sees the spot where he buried the owlbear, but the corpse is missing. He wonders if the big furball ate it. He doesn't form a judgment because there are many footsteps near it, most of them being orc footsteps, which makes it even more suspicious. He measures a distance between the valley and the shelter, which is roughly 1.5 kilometers, making the shelter more dangerous than he assumed. Knowing that the goblins are nearby, he decides to bring back the drone to the shelter because he cannot afford losing it. He is able to sketch out a good map and knows what kind of animals are found in the forest. The next thing he has to do is to check all those areas by himself. Starting with the closest swamp, he wants to see if farming is possible. Suddenly, the infrared goes off, and he steps outside knowing that those were goblins around with their footsteps imprinted on the ground. Our boy was already thinking about it, so it creates a perfect opportunity for him. He wonders if this is because of his perception status that has recently increased. Even the smallest sound was super clear to him. After a while, he was able to spot some goblins without showing himself. It created the perfect ambush angle for him, and he pulls out his spear and arrow and launches an attack towards the goblin head. The goblin falls dead, and our boy gets supported by the other goblins, and they begin to run towards him to attack him. But he swiftly gets rid of them as if they were easy to kill. He kills 4 of them and then goes to attack the remaining 4. Our boy gets surrounded by them, but he pulls something out of his pocket, which instantly makes the goblins drop on their knees. As they are on their knees, our protagonist takes his knife and chops their heads off. He took an advantage of goblins' exhaustion into winning this battle, that even he couldn't believe that it worked. Now, the days that are left till the apocalypse arrives are 21. While digging the ground, our boy feels tired, and suddenly his trait gets triggered, and his body is again full of efficiency. He realizes that his skill is not completely useless after all. After a while, he is done burying the corpses of the goblins. Then he turns towards the loot he collected. He first collects the guaca fruit, which helps majorly and restores the strength. There is a ton of vegetable oil in the loot, which makes him think that maybe there is a harvest nearby. He looks in the pouch of the head goblin, and he is surprised to find a living toad inside of it. That toad is blue in color, making our boy wonder why would they carry a live toad instead of a dead one. Suddenly the toad starts to smell, and soon enough our boy realizes that it was a paralysis poison used by the goblins. Instantly, our boy decides that he has to raise this toad no matter what. Not only does he find the toad super cute, but being able to extract poison, he will be able to create a poison resistance by injecting it into his body. With the paralysis poison, hunting will become easier too. Then our boy decides a name for the toad, Jjodok, aiming to feed Jjodok a lot. His system begins to notify him about the toad now being his property. He wonders if this is like a hidden gimmick added in reality. He begins to overthink and overanalyze the situation. After that, our boy starts exploring and opens the dimensional gate. With that gate, he keeps going back and forth and finally completes his reorganization. After that, he immediately begins to search the surroundings and then finds a spring which he accidentally missed in the drone. He looks at the water and realizes that it is ordinary water and nothing too dangerous about it. He is surprised to find a hideout near his shelter, and right behind the spring he finds a guaca tree and vegetable oil buds. Our boy picked the guaca fruits and harvested a proper amount of vegetable oil buds. After that, he left marks on trees everywhere he went, so he wouldn't forget the way to this place and began to head back. At his apartment, he feeds his new pet, Jjodok. He's raising his pet on the second-floor apartment for the time being. He couldn't leave Jjodok in the hideout because it would die. Other than taking care of his pet, there were more things to do. The longest thing that took was making the ointment and accidentally made too much of it. He doesn't know what to do. He can't give it to Mikyung because she is a fellow awakener too, so he decides to give it to Hyung. At Hyung's place, he drinks the protein drink and our boy gave him the ointment, making him wonder what that is. Our guy explains that he bought too much of it, and it's supposed to be good for wounds. Hyung jokingly asks if he's getting into marketing, and our hero denies. Still, Hyung is grateful to him for the ointment and for sending him Sura-related information. But our boy thanks him for telling him about the shooting incident. Then, Seong-ho observes the gym being way too quiet, to which his friend explains that everyone went to make plans after the broadcasting guy spread the information he knew about. So now, they are deciding to make a base here. Our hero warns him that having too many people is a sign of danger, but Hyung just doesn't want to abandon his members. He's too loyal to them. Then Hyung wonders what Seong-ho plans to do, and he just brushes it off. Suddenly they hear a scream and Seong-ho finds it familiar. He looks down at the building and he sees Mikyung on the ground. Both of them rush to her, wondering what happened. She explains that she was attacked, but couldn't see who attacked her. Hyung instantly goes to check outside the building and the entire area, despite our boy trying to stop him from going out for the moment. Meanwhile, our boy sticks with Mikyung, and she elaborates that everything went dark in front of her eyes, and she couldn't process what happened. Hearing that, a chill runs down the spine of our hero realizing what's happening, and he urges her to instantly use her ability blink whenever something like that happens, because they have started moving. He also assures that he will send her a self-defense kit soon, and urges her to be really careful from now on. Only 20 days left until the apocalypse approaches. There is a famous meme from the past. If 5 people gather, one of them is bound to be useless. Trollers exist everywhere in the world, especially in Sura. In Sura, there exist patches for interference. The developers answer the reports but do not catch the trollers. In Sura, trollers join a team, acting like normal players, but afterward lure the party into an area filled with monsters, making the entire team wipe out. They approach beginners with kindness, only to kill them later and steal their belongings. Trollers have done all kinds of things to make parties fight each other. They made the game, which was already not famous, fall in just 1 year. Some users dropped to 4 because Seong-ho's team took care of the remaining trollers. Our boy wonders why he is explaining all this, then summarizes everything he has found so far. The Awakener communities combined after the Yahello shootout. They are not only giving information, but also plotting schemes. He pauses mid-sentence, as he finds out people are selling his videos as well. As our protagonist surfs more on the site, he learns that his teammate Dawajusem was a troller. He gets stunned to see the thumbnail of Dawajusem's video, stating about being carried by Kimbap Zhao. Now Seong-ho wonders if that troller is trying to lure people with some edited video. Surprisingly, he claps for Dawajusem as Dawajusem is praised for his thinking. He stretches as he decides to train more in order to tackle those kinds of people. For the next 13 days, whenever he got time, our hero constantly learned weapon usage and techniques that can be used in real combat from a survival MeTube channel online. On the other hand, in that time period, he saw attacking monsters, including hideouts. Plus, there are a number of strategies and weapons that did not consider the wire disease. Therefore, after training in those 13 days, Seong-ho is finally looking forward to choosing a main weapon, a weapon that can be used if the wire disease comes, and which is also good for anti-personnel combat and monster elimination. He looks into his tool bag and finds an Indian war club, wooden slingshot, ochre clay beads, and handmade stone axe. However, not a single one fits with his conditions. Then at first, our protagonist decides to try the slingshot. It has high utility in many ways. However, the ochre clay beads are ambiguous as their power is weak. Next, he decides to use the Indian war club. He reflects that, once the wire disease was taken as a given, there was no need to worry. The easiest way to eliminate a zombie is to destroy the spores living inside the skull with a blunt weapon. He recalls that the first weapon he decides to buy after reaching level 10 is a blunt weapon type item, Ebony Wood Club, and that's why it was essential for him to raise his proficiency. But now our boy wonders if the Indian War Club is good against people as well. He believes it is ambiguous, because it will be difficult for him to handle a psychic awakener with this. He knows that in survival life, killing a human gives 50 points. The murderer system, which required death matches with the nearby players if registered as a murderer, prevented the abuse of player killing. Although there will be a high number of people who will eliminate users for the sake of more points, even being suffered by demerits. Meanwhile, he completely destroys the dummy with his Indian War Club. He decides to avoid those kinds of players until he finishes item and skill farming. After training hard, our hero wipes his sweat from his place, while planning to dismantle the store completely, but he stops mid-sentence as he hears a wolf sound coming from nearby. He gets shocked, wondering if one has gotten injured near the hideout. Later, Seong-ho finds the wolf, which is bigger than normal size. Our boy can even ride on it. The system reveals its name, Grey Wolf, but as he observes it closely, he notices it is not breathing. He wonders if this is a stray wolf or one that came near his hideout after being attacked. To find more information, our protagonist starts checking its injuries. However, out of nowhere, a young little wolf hits him on his back. Seong-ho learns the dead wolf is actually the mother of this little wolf, which stands between him and its mother, so it can protect its mother. He gets confused because he can't use force to separate that little wolf from its mother. He grabs a shovel as our hero decides to bury the dead wolf quickly. As he starts digging a hole, he thinks if that wolf was a monster, then it will turn into a bone creeper, and if not, then it will attract more monsters. After some time, the hole is completely dug, while the younger wolf is sleeping beside its mother, reminding our boy of his younger self and Mung-chi, the dog he raised in his childhood. Next, he grabs the little wolf, explaining that its mother will be sleeping here. He adds that it can visit its mom whenever it wants, as he plans to make a dog hole in the hideout door. Then, Seong-ho gives the wolf a piece of meat, promising to make sure it will never starve until it grows up. He asks its help in return, with its amazing sense of smell. When he asks if it agrees, the small wolf happily answers by making a soft sound. Then, our protagonist gives it a name, Dingo, as he pats its head. The system window pops up, notifying that he has succeeded in communication with the Grey Wolf, and this Grey Wolf, Dingo, will be considered his property. With that, there are 19 days remaining until the apocalypse arrives. Seong-ho is busy training Dingo. He instructs it to repeat the actions he just taught. When our boy calls for a paw, Dingo places it on his owner's hand. Then the wolf runs as instructed, sits, lies down, and stays quiet, following every command our hero gives. Lastly, he throws a big piece of bone into the air, and Dingo successfully catches it with a leap. Our protagonist feels satisfied as he notes how quickly it learns, likely because it is from another world. He reflects on its excellent scent tracking skills and, in his mind, considers Dingo a bundle of luck and a blessing. He cares for his adorable companion with a kiss and starts to say something, but his phone rings. As Seong-ho picks up the phone, he sees a message from Hyung, who suggests searching levitation on the web. Later, our hero finds an article about a person being called the first superhuman, someone who claims zombies and monsters will soon appear and bring disaster. That article has reached rank 1. In the comments, people are skeptical, believing the broadcast channel did this only for ratings. He notes there are many who know nothing about eras, but the Awakeners are clearly alarmed in the comments section. He finds it amusing how some get upset when little information is shared, and others get angry when what they know becomes widespread. Next, our protagonist wonders how the government will react. He is aware of people holding rallies about shock and superpowers, but snaps out of it, deciding not to get involved with such matters. Though he implies the government will eventually act once the second omen, the Hobgoblin event, occurs, Seong-ho decides not to waste a moment. He tells Dingo that from today they will begin exploration. Deep down, our boy knows thorough preparation is the only solution, and Dingo seems eager for it. Later, they enter the portal world, and Seong-ho reflects on why he chose interdimensional exploration with Dingo. He lets Dingo sniff a small pouch and orders it to find it. The first reason for this type of exploration is to prepare for the upcoming Hobgoblin event, as he needs Dingo to properly imprint the scent of goblins. Meanwhile, Dingo barks, having found the flesh in the bushes, and our hero feels proud that it tracked it down from just a lingering scent. The second reason is to test if Dingo can stay calm in live combat and follow commands. So, he signals, and the wolf immediately dashes forward. With great precision, Dingo hunts a rabbit on the grass, and our protagonist praises it. The third reason for exploration is to confirm if hunting is possible in the other world. Seong-ho approaches Dingo to inspect its prey, observing the dead rabbit and noting its strong claws and large size. Afterwards, our boy and his little wolf continue exploring. Moving ahead, he wonders what Dingo's cognition would look like as stats. He decides to head toward the valley to verify it himself. Then, a system window appears, notifying him that Dingo's health has increased by 1. Remembering his own health stat as Kimbafo was 170, our hero is impressed by how fast Dingo is growing. Suddenly, Dingo begins to cough, and our protagonist rushes over to offer water. He reminds his partner not to go alone into the woods. Dingo drinks, while our boy spots a large green pepper nearby and wonders if it ate that. The system reveals it is called bull pepper. Seong-ho is pleased to find it in the woods and praises Dingo, promising plenty of treats later. He digs to harvest the bull pepper. Next, they set out for their final hunt. Both of them sit on rocks at the edge of a stream. This time, Dingo doesn't detect any unusual sense or presence. Deep down, our boy reflects that red trout aren't monsters and don't give points or items. However, he believes it's essential for young Dingo to gain experience, which is valuable. After hunting red trout, our protagonist decides to finish preparations for Phase 2, then return home. The following day, his entire restaurant is demolished. The manager of the demolishing company tells our hero to contact them within 3 days if there are any repair issues. He thanks the manager sincerely for working so early in the morning. Taking a deep breath, he feels a bit sad to see the place destroyed, but knows it was necessary. As he steps inside, Seong-ho assumes that after the apocalypse, those who don't turn into zombies will likely loot stores. He admits he would do the same, so he has no right to complain. As he starts cleaning up, Hyung appears behind him, observing the empty room. Hyung mentions he's also left only the bare minimum equipment. When our boy wonders aloud why Hyung is there, Hyung snaps his fingers against Seong-ho's forehead, angry that our hero left the previous day without a word. Now, Hyung says, he came just to check if Seong-ho is even alive. Meanwhile, Dingo watches Hyung with cold eyes. Hyung wonders aloud if Seong-ho always had a dog, but he explains that one is long gone. He adds that this is his new pet, and Hyung calls the wolf adorable. Then, Seong-ho asks again why he is here, and Hyung repeats that he only came to check on him. Our hero doesn't believe that, so Hyung shares another reason for his visit. He admits he was worried, but also reveals that he's found the people behind the attack on Mikyung. With that, only 17 days remain until the apocalypse arrives. Sitting down with Hyung, Seong-ho learns that the party organized by Kim Cheol-jun, the man known for always wearing a hat, is actually targeting Mikyung. Hyung also mentions that the tow truck, which our boy dislikes, is involved with their party as well. He points toward the mountains in front of them and asks if the area near the base of the mountain is where redevelopment halted, adding that their hideout is situated there. However, our protagonist is curious how Hyung was able to discover all this, and Hyung explains that the clues simply lined up. He states that Han Jin-seong, the one who can levitate, had recently appeared on a variety show, and Hyung had asked him directly. Han Jin revealed he had met with Cheol-jun's group before, but their members were all unpleasant, so Han Jin refused to stay with them due to conflicting personalities. After what happened to Mikyung, all the female members started leaving the party, When questioned about their departure, those women only said they had received offers from other Awakener parties. Hyung asks for Seong-ho's opinion, and our hero responds that, unlike Mikyung, the other female members must have been tricked into joining. Hyung then suddenly reveals that their party is now down to 4 members, including himself. This revelation stuns our boy, who remembers there were 20 members just days before. Hyung does not elaborate, but he knows that now their party has only 2 Awakeners. Seong-ho struggles to process this, recalling that they had done favors for those members who still decided to leave. Yet, Hyung remains composed, telling our protagonist that this is simply how things are. Those people were just looking after themselves. More than this, Hyung says he is worried about little Ji-eun, debating whether or not to contact his ex-wife. Our boy keeps a straight face, knowing their situations are not the same, and he wants to know if his own thinking is correct. He wants to ask Hyung something that has been on his mind. Our protagonist wonders, if the apocalypse really comes and people start threatening Hyung, what would he do? Before he can finish, Hyung cuts him off, insisting he would not hesitate to kill them. Hyung says he has a principle against hurting others, but in a disaster without law, there would be no other choice. He believes that in such times, there is no space for evil to survive. Then, Hyung curiously asks why Seong-ho would bring up such a question, noting that it does not seem like him. Our boy does not provide a real answer, and right then someone yells for help. The sound comes from our hero's cell phone. Hyung wonders if it is the sound of a lost child, but Seong-ho checks the map and asks Hyung to look after Dingo for a while. Elsewhere, Mikyung is surrounded by bad guys and appears to have sent a distress signal. The enforcer tow truck, On In Hak, mockingly asks Mikyung why she is causing such a scene, demanding she come down. In response, Mikyung stands on the edge of a rooftop, shouting that she already refused, but they kept chasing her. She demands to know why they are doing this. On-in urges her to reconsider, but Kim Cheol and Ma Jong-in step forward, insisting on handling things their way, and pointing out that, since they are in a redevelopment area, nobody will come to Mikyung's rescue. Kim Cheol tells her not to waste her energy, and reminds her that they all have traits, then starts a countdown. Meanwhile, our boy is preparing his weapons, hiding in an alley. At the count of 2, he slings Kim Cheol, and on 3, Kim Cheol is struck. All the group members are confused, trying to figure out who is attacking them. Suddenly, our protagonist appears in a helmet and steps forward to strike On-in, debating whether or not to reveal his identity. Using the Indian War Club, Seong-ho hits On-in hard, then immediately goes for another member. This person emits black energy, making our hero suspect he has a vision-blocking trait, but Seong-ho is able to strike him anyway. Now, our hero is breathing heavily, and when he sees Mikyung, she warns him to watch out. He turns and sees Kim Cheol coming at him with a bat, which hits and damages his helmet. Seong-ho is shocked by the destructive force behind the attack. At the same time, Kim Cheol realizes who he is, but our boy is deep in thought, recognizing that Kim Cheol's offensive trait is extremely powerful, even at the early stages. Kim Cheol vows to cripple our protagonist, and his group members rise to back him up, determined to unleash their full strength despite being non-awakeners. On-in charges at our hero with electricity, mocking him as he approaches. Seong-ho is unsure what to do as his opponent shows off all his skills, and he wonders if he should use the dimensional gate. Just as On-in is about to strike, Dingo appears and bites On-in's arm. Hyung steps out from an alley, asking if this is really appropriate in broad daylight, and suggests the group should leave if they don't want trouble, stating he is calling 112. All the group members decide to retreat for now. Hyung comments that they look weak but still act arrogantly. Next, Mikyung comes down and immediately grabs our hero's head, checking if he is alright. She notes that his helmet is cracked, and Hyung offers our boy a piggyback. Seeing them both worried, Seong-ho's thoughts flash to his old comrades from the game. When Mikyung suggests a hospital visit, our protagonist turns away and insists he is fine. He then asks Hyung if they can bring Mikyung into their party. Hyung says it is not a problem as long as Mikyung has no objection, and she happily agrees. The hero leaves, saying he has some things to do, while Hyung and Mikyung are left wondering why he is acting so strangely. After returning home, our hero concentrates on controlling his emotions and planning for the second stage of his preparations. His abrupt departure was unavoidable, and seeing Hyung and Mikyung together made him feel like he could trust them with the secret of his abilities. But the decision was already made. To make the most of the dimensional gate, our boy must level up quickly and focus on gaining skills and farming. The phrase, "crush them with item power," echoes more strongly after fighting the mountain gang. He realizes that if he prepares for the apocalypse as planned, there will be a 3-level gap or more, causing monsters that respawn near him to be stronger and making it harder to team up with his 2 companions. He keeps working until he finishes installing a wood-burning stove in his hideout, knowing this will help him sleep well at night. Dingo enjoys the stove too, sleeping soundly next to it. Now, our protagonist has just a few more things to install when they arrive, and his initial hideout setup will be nearly complete. Determined, he decides to pull an all-nighter. With that, there are 16 days left until the apocalypse arrives. A news anchor updates viewers on the asteroid observed earlier. According to the report, the HSA has announced that Yunjambi has entered the midpoint of the solar system. HSA is closely monitoring its trajectory, but the meteorite was split by Jupiter's gravity. In response, the head of the Meteorite Observation Department, Thomas Chandler, informs the public that the two fragments, Yunjambi Alpha and Beta, have no chance of approaching Earth. However, Seong-ho remembers that on D5, just 5 days before the apocalypse, Yunjambi Beta was the first to fall. It landed near a Russian ship in the ocean, and the resulting tsunami swept the ship ashore at Gamcheon Port, which is how zombies first appeared in Korea. The news anchor continues, reporting on the Uedo shooting incident. President Jang Won-taek has not left his residence for a week, prompting opposition party leaders to issue a joint statement declaring their agreement to hold a hearing. Some people are now saying this is connected to the rumors about Awakeners and the impending disaster. Listening to this, our boy admits to himself that it really is the end of the world. He thinks it's a good thing that the media is finally showing interest in these matters, and concludes that it will be more difficult for Awakeners to commit crimes now. Next, he decides to check the community's reaction on his laptop. As our protagonist scrolls through the comment section, he sees that people have shared strong opinions about the situation. By coincidence, he spots a comment from My Dream and wonders if this person has been active all along. My Dream was a player known for being friendly to beginners, and Seong-ho's group had played with him a few times. My Dream's ambition was to build a bunker, and if our hero didn't have a portal, he might have been tempted to join. He decides not to enter any contract unless his veteran friends join My Dream, but he bookmarks My Dream's comment for later reference. After closing his laptop, our protagonist looks forward to building his second shelter. The next day, Seong-ho stands in front of his hideout and realizes it's possible to pull 2 all-nighters in a row. He feels exhausted, but seeing his completed exterior gives him energy. It's time to figure out how to use the electricity generated by solar panels. Simply put, there are several wiring steps to make the electricity compatible with his electronic devices. Luckily, when our boy puts his phone on charge, it works. He raises his arms in delight, announcing that he has now built the foundation for survival in this world. For the first time in a while, he feels a rush of dopamine. Yesterday, he also collected luminous and ignition stones, and after further digging, he found a mineral harder and sharper than obsidian, called emerus. Although it's currently useless, he still considers it better than nothing. He decides to install LED lights later, but before sleeping, he needs to organize the food supplies in the basement. Suddenly, a loud noise from Dingo grabs his attention. Rushing outside, Seong-ho finds Dingo facing off against maned wolves, a type of monster he recognizes from Asura. He wonders why these creatures, which usually live in high-altitude areas, are here. Observing Dingo's anger, our hero suspects these might be the wolves that killed Dingo's mother. He tries to calm Dingo, but deep down, he knows he can't defeat all the wolves at this moment. If he moves to fetch a better weapon, he risks exposing his back and being attacked, which could be fatal. Therefore, our protagonist decides to focus on making the alpha wolf leave, knowing the rest will likely follow. He observes the wolves' super cautious behavior and notices they only move when the alpha acts first. Next, he considers whether they can coordinate an attack. He also notes that these wolves are extremely sensitive to scents. Fortunately, Seong-ho has pepper spray with him. If he can spray it on the alpha, he'll be able to drive it away from the shelter. Sweat trickles down his face as he considers the risk of being attacked before he can act. He wonders if there's a way to distract it and strike with the spray. Suddenly, an idea comes to mind, and he believes it is logically possible. Determined to defend the hideout he built with his own hands, our boy braces himself. He instantly throws a knife at the alpha, but it dodges. The alpha then leaps at our hero, but when it gets close, Seong-ho opens the portal and, seizing the chance, sprays the animal. The alpha loses composure, and then our protagonist drives his knife into its eye. With that, the wolf pack retreats. Our hero sits down, having narrowly escaped death. Dingo comes over to care for him, and Seong-ho pats Dingo's head in appreciation. He promises Dingo that he'll avenge its mother in the future. With that, only 15 days remain until the apocalypse arrives.